Oh, hey. My name's Andy, and welcome to the 100 subscription Q&A special. Recently, this channel reached over 100 subscriptions, and while that's a relatively low number of subscriptions as far as YouTube goes, for me it's still a really big milestone. I started this channel several years ago, and I thought, maybe I'll get a couple subscriptions, but probably not a whole lot. And so reaching 100 and having met so many people and had so much fun over this past year mostly, was a really big deal for me. When I started it, I was in a really bad place. You know, I had a job that I hated, I lived in a town I didn't like very much, didn't really have any friends around, and so I felt pretty crappy. And I started this channel and put out some videos, and not much happened for a long time, but just about a year ago, I decided I wanted to meet some people. And I went online, and I went on to LPS, and I met some people, and I met people through them, and more, and now I've made a bunch of friends, and I've made a bunch of videos, and I have a job that I like a lot better. We live in a nicer place. I have a daughter now. It's just crazy to think about how much stuff has changed in just a few years. Doing these videos hasn't been the reason that everything has gotten a lot better for me over the past few years, but it's just that it's been there kind of the whole way, and it's interesting to see how things have changed. So I wanted to celebrate hitting 100 subs plus by doing some Q&A. A couple of my friends recently have done Q&A videos, and I really enjoyed them, and it made me want to make one as well. And I thought, well, this is a really good opportunity to do so, and I don't really know when another good opportunity would come up, so we're going to do it now. After we hit 100 subs, I went on to Twitter and on to Discord and asked everybody. I said, send me whatever questions you want about anything you like, and I will answer them in a video. And it took a couple days, but I did get a bunch of questions from people, and so I'm going to answer all of them now. Let's start the Q&A! Alright, so my first questions are from my wife, Erin. Erin, I love you to pieces. Thank you very much for sending me some questions. And I want to say a very special thank you to you, because when I first got the idea of starting a YouTube channel, Erin pushed me to start it. She got me my first editing software, and really pushed me to get going. And so without her, I might not have started at all. Plus nowadays she gives me some free time to work on this stuff, which I greatly appreciate, so thank you. I managed to convince her to start doing some videos on the channel, so if you haven't seen them already, look up the Save Our Ship videos on my channel. After you watch this one, she started playing BioShock, and hopefully once she finishes that, we'll get her to do some more. Alright, so the first question she asks me is, what's your favorite sports mascot? This is a tough one for me because we don't watch sports very much, and I don't know very many mascots, so let me look some up real quick. Alright, so I went to Iowa State, and so we have Cy, who I do like because he's a giant cardinal with just like ridiculously huge teeth. Like, birds don't even have teeth, so I don't know why he has so many, but I think he's funny. But I think I looked some up, and I think I just found my new favorite. It's the San Diego Chargers mascot, Boltman, or Boltman, I don't know, is that his last name? But I mean, just look at this guy. He's like the lightning bolt of the Chargers with just a ridiculous face. He's my favorite now. Alright, her second question is, what's your favorite fast food? This is tough because I like a lot of different kinds of fast food, and it kind of depends on how I'm feeling or, what I'm in the mood for. Sometimes I feel like Chinese food, sometimes I feel like tacos, or, Alright, let's say right now my favorite fast food is probably Chipotle. I really like their burritos. They're big, they have a lot of seasoning, a lot of good ingredients. I like them a lot. I'm always excited when we have that. I also really like Popeyes. They just opened a restaurant near us recently, and that's some good chicken. She also asks, what's your least favorite fast food? And so for this, I think I have to say McDonald's. And right now, Erin's probably like, what? I love McDonald's. We have it all the time. I know. Erin loves McDonald's. She loves getting the Big Macs. Let me explain. I like McDonald's food. We eat there regularly. Nothing wrong with that. It's fine. The reason I think it's my least favorite is they let me down so much. Throughout the years, they've had sandwiches on their menu that I've really liked, and they've only been on there for like a couple months, and then they take them off. So I go to McDonald's, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to get my favorite sandwich that they had last time. Well, it's gone, and now I have to pick something else that I don't like very much. They've recently like slimmed down their menu, so there's even less on there, and I'm like, I don't, like this stuff is fine, but I don't love any of this. Also, they tend to give me lettuce that, like, instead of being the leaf, it's like the stem, so it's really crunchy, which I don't enjoy. And also, the tomatoes often are not fully ripe, so they're like small and really hard. And then maybe Aaron remembers one time when we were coming back from the Mall of America, we stopped at a McDonald's to just get some coffee. And it was like a McDonald's off the highway at 8 at night. Nobody was there, it was just us. And we're like, we would like this kind of coffee, please. And they gave us the wrong kind of coffee. You only had to do one thing. So anyway, I like their food. They just, out of every fast food place we've eaten at, they tend to disappoint me the most. The next questions are from my parents. Mom and Dad, thank you for watching me. Thanks for birthing me. My mom asks, do you have any other hobbies besides video games? I don't know. I like to cook. If I find a good book, I like to read. I like to not make music, but appreciate music. But really, what I spend a lot of my free time on is playing games or talking about games or thinking about games. So, no. She also asks, what is your earliest memory? That's hard. I remember a couple of early things, and I don't know what order they happened in. Maybe my mom will know. I remember the first day of kindergarten. I remember when we used to live behind the mall, that place. I remember when I had that battery-powered red Jeep, and I'd drive that around. I don't know if I remember anything before all that, but it's hard to say. Alright, my dad asked me a very long question. He said, you were born during the video game revolution. If you had to choose another era to have grown up in, what would it be? First of all, I love when I grew up. It was lots of fun. I don't know if I would choose a different one. And thinking about that, it's kind of hard because with that question, you want to think back to the past and be like, oh, you know, this cool stuff was happening this time and all these big events were happening. Maybe I would have wanted to be around then, but like the farther back you go, like the more everything also sucked. So like it would have been cool to see some of those things, but it also would have been horrible to live then, probably. Like, oh, it would have been cool to grow up in medieval times, except everything sucked. So maybe if I had to have been born some other time, I would go for the future, when there's like even cooler electronics, and maybe everything's a little better. He also asks, did you get your hair from your mom or your dad? A lot of people like to tell me that I have my dad's hair. He has really curly, dark hair. But you know, mine is not as curly as his, and my mom has like straight, lighter colored hair. So, I don't know. It's kind of right in the middle. Alright, I also just got some questions from my sister-in-law, Hannah. She texted them to me. They may also be from my brother, but it doesn't say. So, number 1. Why are your hair so big? Well, I really don't like wearing hats, so this keeps my head warm. If you had to name your hair, what would you name it? Not the Andy. I would name it, Chauncey. Number 3. Where do you get off? Wherever the car stops. And 4. Do you believe in a woman's right to chew? Do you mean chewing tobacco? Because, yes, they have the right to do that, but it's still gross. And if you mean gum or food, then yes, I think that's a right for all humans. And now we're going to move on to questions from other creators. Alright, so first up, we have a question from 8-Bit Josh. Josh is a really nice guy, and he's very creative. He does a lot of videos of Planet Coaster making theme parks and stuff, which I love watching because I love amusement parks, and he just like goes from an empty field and just makes this beautiful like area of a park with rides and features and stuff, and I'm just like, Josh, how do you do it? Josh asked, what is your first video game memory? Now that I can maybe nail down a little bit. I definitely remember when we had an NES and I played Super Mario Brothers. You know. That and Duck Hunt with the zapper gun that had that really loud spring sound when you pulled the trigger. I also remember when I got my first Game Boy, big Game Boy with Tetris. That was a big deal. And then also I had a Power Rangers watch, which the watch face was like a big square in the shape of the Megazord, and it had a big screen in the middle where you could play a little game where you like punched and kicked putties. So I don't know which of those things came first, but those are my earliest gaming memories. Next I have a question from Goddess Nerdandi, who does a lot of videos on RPGs, and also more recently she's been playing Dream Daddy, which is pretty exciting. She and I also have the same birthday. So Goddess asked me, Rowan Fuddling Major Baby collab, when? Well, since they're all babies and can't play a game or record their own video, probably not for a while. Also, we live around here, and they live somewhere in here, so that's going to be kind of an issue. Goddess, if you want to pay for some plane tickets, we can figure something out. Next I have some questions from the hero of Oakvale. That's my friend Bruno. He's a very funny guy. I love joking with him. I'm not sure if he has any skin. He may not have a face. He's just bones. Anyway, I recommend watching him play through Resident Evil 4 for the first time because that was hilarious. Bruno asked me, what is your routine before a stream or recording? I have a very simple routine. I make sure that Aaron and Rowan are fine and locked upstairs, and it's all quiet down here. Then I sit down, and I plug in all my headphones and controllers and whatever, get everything running, make sure that everything's working, maybe do a test recording to make sure that like the sound is actually working, because sometimes it doesn't. And then I sit here in silence for about 10 minutes trying to figure out what I'm going to say. Bruno also asked me, what do you use to make your fro so strong and healthy? Well, Bruno, you know how on the back of shampoo bottles it has instructions for use like lather, rinse, and repeat? I don't repeat. My next question is from YaBoyTwiz, my boy. He's a super nice and supportive guy, and he's probably the most energetic person on YouTube I've ever seen. He's crazy. You should really check out one of his streams if you haven't, because he just goes nuts. He's 100% all the time. Nobody's seen his face, but legends say that he's secretly Whoopi Goldberg in disguise. Alright, so Twiz asked me, why did you start doing YouTube? And what are your goals between now and your next milestone? Okay, so why did I start YouTube? I was really lonely. Like, we lived in a town where I didn't really know anybody, or the people I did know, I liked some of them, but a lot of them I did not like. You know, I had Erin, but we worked different shifts, so I didn't see her very much, so I felt really alone, and I decided to start making videos because I thought, you know, maybe people would watch something I made, maybe people would comment, I could have someone to talk to. Now, goals between now and my next milestone? Well, definitely I want to finish some more games. I know I have a problem with not quite finishing games, but so I'm going to try to work on that. Otherwise, I would like to get some new equipment before my next milestone. You know, everything I'm working with is kind of old. I could probably use a light or something, and maybe a new microphone or some other stuff. So hopefully, by the next time I hit a big milestone, I will have upgraded the quality of things. My next question comes from MannVSMann. It's Jas and Dallas, and those two are awesome. It's really funny listening to the two of them play games together and talk to each other, and I think they're actually the first people that I ever played Jackbox online with. Also, Jas made my very first fan art, which is amazing. It looks just like me. Alright, so they asked me to describe the best sandwich you've ever eaten. This one I had to think about for quite a while, because I don't really have, like, a one sandwich that I always go back to. I like a lot of different kinds of sandwiches. But I think my favorite sandwich is, around St. Patrick's Day, we make corned beef, which is delicious. And it's maybe my favorite version of meat ever. And so I slice some of that up, and, you know, it's like thick meat, it's very salty. Put that on some wheat bread, or maybe some, like, bread with those seeds baked in, I don't know what that's called. Put some of that cabbage on there, and I don't really like cabbage, but, you know, when we make it with the corned beef, it's, like, really soft, and we put some vinegar on there. And then put on, like, slap on a whole grain mustard or something. So you got, like, salty meat, vinegar, mustard. Amazing. Anyone who was following me on Twitter last St. Patrick's Day should know this, because I tweeted about those sandwiches like 8 times in a week. I really want one now, but I gotta wait like 7 months. Alright, my next questions are from Erries. Erries is a super cool guy. All of his videos are great. I also really like when he has a character in a multiplayer game because he always dies. He also said that his apartment smelled really bad a while ago because like a bird died in the air conditioning. I don't know, maybe he has really bad luck. Anyway, he asked me 2 related questions. First one, what is your favorite cartoon character and why? And he said that that also applies to anime. So I thought about it a bit, and I'd say my favorite anime character right now is Jet Black from Cowboy Bebop. He's like an older, grumpy bounty hunter who used to be with the police because he, you know, wanted to catch bad guys and be a good guy, but he found that the police force was too corrupt, or they, you know, there was so much red tape that you couldn't get things done, that sort of thing. So he quit, became a bounty hunter so he can still go after bad guys, but on his own terms. And he likes cooking, and he's kind of grumpy and quiet, and I just think he's really cool.
Yeah, give me that. Ugh. I'll take the other thing. Damn it, hurry up, Spike! I'm trying! Shiitake stir fry, shiitake stew, shiitake salad, and shiitake on ice.
My favorite cartoon character right now would have to be Greg Universe. Now, I love Steven Universe. I love the show and pretty much every character in it. But Greg I really like. He's a single father. His son lives with weird alien women, and he's just like, okay, you know, that's cool. He lives out of his van. He runs a car wash. And some people would look at him and be like, oh, you know, he's kind of a loser. You know, he's kind of overweight, and he lives in a van, doesn't have much going on for him. But he's a really great father, and he tries really hard. And even though his son does a lot of weird stuff, he's like always very accepting, or tries to understand what Steven's going through. And so I just think he's a really cool guy.
Well, I might join you kids, show you how it's done. I've been slacking on my workout routine for a few weeks, months, years, decades.
I think your calculations may have been off.
Well, they can't be off if you don't do any.
Erries also asked, which cartoon character are you most similar to and why? So I would like to say that I'm just like Jet, because that guy is super cool, and I would like to be a guy like that, I think. But I thought about it, and probably the character that I'm most similar to would be Maya from Princess Jellyfish. She's kind of a dork, she really likes food, and 3 Kingdoms and minifigures.
Dude, how come nobody ever told me they made 3 Kingdoms chips? I shall not waste my father's essence, nor my mother's blood! Curse you, Cao Xing!
And that's basically me, so yeah. My next question is from the super horror bro, Mike. Now, a while ago, Mike went super viral with his videos about Bendy and the Ink Machine, which you should check out. And he rocketed it up to like, I don't know, 10 million subscribers or something. Damn it, Mike. But you know, he's a really nice guy, and he likes horror stuff a lot, so if you go to his channel, you'll see him playing through some horror games, and also now he's covering different spooky stuff on the internet and other things like that, so check him out. Mike asked me, if you started over from scratch on YouTube, is there anything you would have done differently? So, if I were to start right now with my current knowledge, start a new channel, I think I would be less nervous, because of course when I started I was really nervous. I hesitated to do things because I was worried people wouldn't like it, and now I'm just like, whatever, I'm just gonna do what I think is fun and people can deal with it. Also, one thing that made a big difference to me was meeting everybody on this list and other friends that I've made. And that's kind of what I was looking for when I first started the channel. So if I started a channel right now, the first thing I would do is try and find some people, or like a group, because there's a lot of like YouTube gangs popping up now where people kind of support each other and help each other get going, and I think that's great. And that's something that I would seek out immediately now, instead of waiting like 4 years. Next I have a question from my friend Brendan at Brendan Plays, formerly Brendalf. Brendan's a really funny guy, and we used to make fun of him because he played a lot of retro games and he just died over and over, and we made fun of him because he could never finish a game, and then he changed his name and he started beating all these games. It's crazy. I recommend watching his top 5 childhood games video because it was really good. And also, recently he played through a game called Dropsy about a really disturbing clown. And it's just really interesting. And I don't know, I like listening to Brendan talk about it. So anyway, he asked me, when will the cooking channel start? So Brendan, I'm not going to make a separate channel for cooking, but I definitely would like to do some cooking videos, or at least, you know, videos of recipes or something. And I've been thinking about it a lot, and I would like to do it as soon as I can. But I have not started working on it, so, you know, not soon, but it's definitely in the forefront of my mind. If you have any recipes or types of food you want me to do, let me know. Next I've got a question from Grab Shiny. That's John and Zach, my boys. I love Grab Shiny, I watch them all the time. They put out something like every day, so you're never gonna run out of things to watch with them. They played with me on my Gigantic stream a couple weeks ago, and we've played Jackbox together, and they're just a lot of fun. They asked me, what is your favorite video that you've done? That's tough, it's like picking one of my children's. Alright, so I'm not trying to play the room here, but one of my favorite videos that I've done is when John and I played We Were There. And that's because, to this day, that is the only collab I've done with anybody of like a full game. So it is special to me. Also, most of the videos and streams I do are of games that I already know pretty well, and playing We Were Here with him, I was playing a game that I knew nothing about. I was going in totally blind, so it was like very exciting, and I was nervous because it was like, oh, I want John to like me, and I want to, you know, make this video good, and I don't know where to go, and I'm scared. So it was a very exciting time. Now John did all the editing on those videos, so it was even easier for me because I didn't have to do any of the work. But that is one that sticks out to me. Now, other than that, I really liked when I did the Diddy Kong Racing series, just because that's a game I really like, and I wasn't expecting anyone to really be excited about it. It was more for me, but actually quite a few people were like, oh, I'm so glad you're doing this game because I really like it, and I got a lot of positive reception, and so I was really happy that people liked that I was playing that. Other than that, I really liked making Camping Spy, just because it started as kind of a joke. I think I was on Twitter and I was like, I'm going camping, you know, what Let's Play should I do this weekend? And it kind of took off from there, and then I just got to do lots of silly stuff while we were camping, so that was really fun. My next question comes from Down Under. Throw shrimp on the barbie because this next question's from Lytane. And I'm making a bunch of stereotypical jokes, I'm sorry. But no, Lytane's a really thoughtful guy, and he does a lot of really good, informative videos and explaining his opinion about things. So they're very good. I really liked his childhood games video as well, even though it was supposed to be 5 games, and I think he covered like 25 games. But you know what? The whole thing was very enjoyable. He asked me, as you are a spy, who do you spy on, and for whom? Well, Lytane, I'm self-employed. I only spy for myself. And as for who I spy on, everybody. Including you. Next up, I've got a question from Poofy, the Poofster, the Poofmaster. Poofy Supreme. I find Poofy to have a very relaxing voice. And if you want to see what I mean, you should watch his series that he did on Ween the Prophecy. It's like an old point-and-click adventure game, but it's really, really weird. Like, none of the puzzles make any sense to me. And there's like Uki and Orbi, and I don't have any idea what happened in that game, but I just loved listening to him talk about it, and you should check that out.
We are Uki and Orbi. Let's hope the wind comes up, or the weather is good with winds. Which one is Uki? Which one is Orbi? There's a question that pleases us.
Poofy asks me, if you had the chance, what would you serve Trump for dinner? First of all, if given the choice, I would not serve him anything for dinner. But if I had to, I would say, hey Trump, bring me a really expensive steak, since you can apparently afford it, and none of those Trump steaks. Those don't count. Then I would cook it up for him real nice, and be like, look, this is what steak is supposed to be like. Also, no ketchup. What are you, insane? My next question is from Blattymeow. Blatty's a really nice guy, and besides doing YouTube videos, he also makes maps for Quake, which I think is really cool. I never played Quake, but I would definitely like to see some of his maps that he makes when he gets them done. Blatty, do you have any maps done? Show them to me! I've always thought that map design was really cool. I like seeing what people put into them and put in creatively, and so I think that's a really neat hobby. Blatty asked me, how do you like your steak done? Well, medium rare, of course. Get a lot of salt and pepper and seasoning on the outside, and then cook it so it's, cooked but still pink and tender on the inside. Then it's not raw, and it's not really dry and tough. That's the way to go. Alright, so my next few questions are from my friend TJ at TJ Plays. He didn't actually send me questions for this video, but he actually sent me some questions several months ago for a tag video that I never got done. TJ, I tried to record my answers to those questions like 4 times, and every time I had technical difficulties, and so I never got around to it. But I'm going to answer some of your questions right now. TJ just recently did kind of a revamp of his channel, so he took a lot of his videos down, but he started up Fallout 1 and doing a Pokemon Nuzlocke challenge, I think, so you should go check those out. Now, TJ asked me, who are your biggest inspirations on YouTube? I'd have to say that my first biggest inspiration would have to be Markiplier.
Okay, so the first night is never usually that bad in any of the games, so I'll play through. Sneaky snake! Hey there, you're gonna need to get past that snake. You'll be fine if you don't wake it up. What happens if you wake it up? Oh, oh God! The snake!
He's kind of the first big YouTube guy that I started watching, and it kind of motivated me to get started myself. It was like, look at this guy, he's playing games, having fun. Lots of people are liking his videos and leaving comments and stuff, and I knew, I wouldn't get up to that level, but I was like, just some of that I would like. I would like to have some people to talk to and have fun and stuff. Now, obviously, Mark does a lot of scary games, which is not really my thing, but I like that he tries to be funny, and then sometimes he's also really, open about his feelings and stuff, and I think that's important. Secondly, I'd say Jesse Cox. Also, Jesse Cox in the Scary Game Squad.
Why would you do that?
It was an accident. Where am I going? Where am I going?
God damn.
What does that have to do with anything?
He said,
what was that in relation to?
He said she was pruny. I said like a raisin. And now I just remember back in the day when everybody had the shirts.
For the Raisinets?
They were like, no, the California raisins.
Wait, what were the Raisinets?
Okay. The Raisinets are a delicious candy that's still made today. Okay.
I love watching them play scary games because I really enjoy scary games for their story and the plot twists and stuff, but it's hard for me to play them because I am easily scared, and things really stick in my imagination for a long time, and I don't want to subject myself to that. So I watch Jesse and the other guys play scary games, and then I get to learn about the games, but I'm separated from the scares by 4 dudes. But I like how they have fun and joke around, and I like Jesse because he likes to have fun. He's a funny guy, and he doesn't get angry and rage all the time. I feel like a lot of people on YouTube like to be really angry, and that's just not my style. I like more of an emotional kind of thing. And I think Jesse is more along those lines. My other biggest inspirations on YouTube are all you guys. All the friends that I've made who have YouTube channels and make videos and stuff. I don't have a lot of time to watch your videos, but I try to whenever I can. And watching your guys' stuff, gives me ideas and makes me motivated to put out more things, because I'm like, I want to be like my friends. I want to put out fun videos. So you guys definitely make me want to keep going and push me to make my stuff better, because I want to be better than all of you also. TJ also asked, what advice would you give someone starting a new channel? I've got 2 pieces of advice. If you're watching this and you're thinking, maybe I'll start a new YouTube channel. First of all, don't be too hard on yourself. Getting started is hard. Figuring out how everything works and figuring out your style is hard, and it takes time. And don't worry if it's not as good as you think it should be, because it takes time to get there. I am still working on getting my stuff to the level that I want it to be at. And probably everyone is doing that, and that's what everyone should do. I've also seen a couple of channels pop up and be like, we're going to stick to this really strict schedule, and we're going to put out videos every other day. And that's hard to do. Not everybody can do that. And some of those channels have just stopped. They're just gone. They're not there anymore because they got burned out, or they set rules for themselves that they just couldn't follow, and it just all fell apart. So just take your time, do what you can. You don't have to put something out every day if you can't. don't worry about it. Just have fun. And my second piece of advice is to make some friends. That's what really turned things around for me this past year. I made a bunch of friends online, and it changed everything on my channel for me. Having people to talk to, having people to bounce ideas off of, having people that can comment on your videos and you comment on their videos. You know, you motivate each other. Knowing some people on YouTube can make a huge world of difference. And so if you're thinking about starting a new channel, I would recommend, you know, finding a forum or a group online, or as I mentioned earlier, there's some big groups popping up, like I know Goddess is in Team MZ, which is just a ton of people with channels and streamers and stuff that support each other. You know, get involved with something with that. Find a group of people, and you know, everything will be more rewarding for you. The last question from TJ that I'm going to answer is, what is your goal for your channel in 2017? Now, he asked me this a couple months ago, so, you know, there's only a few months left in 2017. My big goal for this year was to start streaming, because I knew we were going to move, and I hoped that we were going to be able to get good internet, which we did. Pretty good enough. And so I really wanted to start streaming on my PS4 and on the computer, and I've done both of those things, and that's a lot of fun. That was probably my biggest goal for this year, and I completed it, so great. There's a bunch of other things that I would like to do, but those might have to wait until next year. Next up, I've got questions from the best Belmont. That's my friend Scott. He recently went from a duo to a solo act, so he's kind of starting to put out different types of videos than he used to, but check out his channel for sure. He asked me a couple of personal questions. First of all, how long have you and Aaron been together? Well, Scott, we dated for 6 years, and then we got married, and we've been married for a little over 6 years. So, 12 years. I can't believe it's been that long. He also asked me, why did you name your daughter Rowan? Well, that was one of the very few girls' names that we could agree on. We had narrowed down a boy's name that we liked, and coming out with a potential girl's name was really tough because we both kind of like different styles of girls' names. And so we eventually came up with, I think, maybe 2 that we both liked, and that was one of them. And that's what we went with. Finally, he asks, what is your favorite game system, and what is your favorite game for it? Well, that's kind of tough, because for game system, I mean, obviously, now I play a lot on the PS4, because that's the new thing. I've also played a ton of DS and 3DS. Probably my favorite game system ever would have to be Nintendo 64. You know, I love Super Nintendo. There's a lot of good GameCube stuff. Wii was a big deal when it came out, and the other ones I mentioned before. But when the 64 came out, that was such a huge deal. It was such a huge step, a big change from the Super Nintendo, you know, 2D stuff, to something with a joystick that was in 3 dimensions. You know, had 4-player. It was such a big deal, and there were a lot of really good games for it. It was just a really exciting time. So that probably stands out the most to me. My favorite game for the 64 is Paper Mario, which we're going to talk more about later. Next up, I have a question from FranceyPants. Francie asked me, if you were only allowed to play one game on one platform for the rest of your life, what would it be and why? Francie hitting me with a really hard question. So my first instinct is to say Paper Mario. It's my favorite game on my favorite system of all time. Probably be a good bet, right? I love that game, but I was thinking, you know, maybe after like 40 years of playing only that, maybe I'd get tired of it. So I was thinking maybe I should do something with a bit more longevity. So I was thinking maybe I could choose something like League of Legends or EVE Online for the PC. Those are 2 games that I like. I'm not great at them, but you know, if I had 50 years where I could play only that game, I could probably get pretty good. As long as either of those games kept, you know, updating and adding things. They both have quite a lot to do. You know, for League, I could get super good. They keep releasing more characters. I could master all of them. I could hit the top of the ranked ladder. And for EVE, there's just so much space and there's so many things to do that could keep me busy for a long time. So that's a really hard question, but I'm going to say maybe one of those 2 games would keep me busy for a long time. Now, I got quite a few questions from Oober Noob. I love Oober, she's great, and she hasn't had time to work on her channel for a while, but she's just getting back into it, I think, so I'm excited to see more Oober videos. If you haven't seen her before, you should go watch Oober Tries, because she discovers hummus and rice pudding and coconut water and some other things, and it's really funny. Alright, so Oober asks, what is your least favorite video game of all time? That would probably be Mario's Time Machine. I found that game back when Mario games were the biggest thing, you know, Super Mario World and Mario 3 and all that stuff. So I see this game, Mario's Time Machine. Okay, well, it's a Mario game, so it's got to be good, and it has a time machine, so that sounds exciting, right? Go to different time periods and do Mario stuff, right? Wrong! It ended up being a really bad educational game, and I have nothing against educational games because there are some really good ones that are like fun games, but you also learn while you're playing them. Mario's Time Machine is just like play a really bad Mario game and then read a textbook page of boring information. And it is not fun. Don't play it. Do you remember where you were when you heard that Wham broke up? Well, I had to look up who Wham was and when they broke up. They broke up in 1986. So when they broke up, I was not born yet. And when I heard that Wham broke up, that was when Oober asked me this question. Describe your overall personality in 3 emojis. Winky face with tongue out. Hard eyes. Capital I. What's the funniest thing that has ever happened at your job? Nothing funny happens at my job. One time we had a patient, and my coworker said his name was Malichi. Finally she asked, if you had a superpower, would you use it for good? Well, that depends on what the superpower was. Probably, if it was something that I could help people with, I would. But also, if I could do some selfish things with it without causing too much harm, I would probably do those too. Alright, we're getting close to the end here. Next I have questions from Allie Cat's Meow. Now, Allie's one of my best gals. She's shown up to several of my streams, and she made a video of one of her shrimp recipes for me, so Allie's the best. If you check out her channel, you'll find some platforming games, and also she's done quite a few unboxing videos, which have been a lot of fun. Allie asks me, how much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? What are your other hobbies outside of YouTube? Well, my mom kind of asked that question earlier. I don't know. I don't really have any other hobbies. What's your favorite food? Well, I like a lot of food. But the one thing that I will never turn down is mashed potatoes. Also, if we're going to go a little fancier, I really like seafood, and probably my favorite thing in that area would be scallops. Big old scallops. They're delicious. Finally, she asked me, who's the most annoying video game or movie character to you? I thought about this one for a little while, and I think the most annoying game character I could think of would be Ashley from Resident Evil 4. She's completely useless in the game, which would be fine if she wasn't also whining the whole time. Again, if you go and watch Hero of Oakvale's Resident Evil 4 playthrough, he does an excellent Ashley impersonation. As for movie characters, I couldn't think of anybody for a while, and suddenly it hit me. Jar Jar. The Phantom Menace is already a mess of a movie that doesn't make any sense. And then you've got this character who does nothing good and is annoying, and he's the worst. Like, he has no redeeming qualities. It's not like, oh, he's annoying, but he did this really good thing. He did nothing. Okay, last but not least, I have a couple questions from Casual Jake. Jake is an awesome guy. You will find him on Twitch nowadays. He does a lot of streaming of Dark Souls, especially his very popular show Drunk Souls, where he drinks a lot, plays Dark Souls, and gets crazy. He also raises a lot of money for Husky Haven of Florida, so if you want to support some good dogs, you should check Jake out and donate to that cause. Now, Jake was one of the first people that I actually met out of all my friends here, because on the forum that I went on to, he said, hey, does anyone want to submit a short video clip to put in one of my videos? And I was like, I don't know who you are, Jake, but here's my clip. That's kind of how I met him, but he's a great guy, and I'm glad I did. Now, he asks me, what was your inspiration to start, and how has it changed to this day? So as I mentioned before, I wanted to start because I was in a really bad place, and I was lonely, and I thought maybe doing this would make me feel better, or at least distract me from other things. Once I found out that we were going to have a baby, I wanted to put up a lot of videos and stuff so that when she gets older, she could watch me and see how I was in my 20s and what I was like. Or if I like die in a horrible accident, then she'll have lots of things to remember me by. Now those things are still in my mind now, but what I want to do with this channel now is I want to have videos up of all my favorite games and all the games that I think are good, so that anyone can come to the channel and be like, these are, you know, this is a collection of the best games. Lots of different games that are all fun and interesting in different ways. Have a place where someone could be like, you know, oh, I want to play a game, but I don't know any good ones. And I can be like, here's lots of good ones that you should play. I doubt I'll ever get every game that I want to on the channel, but that's kind of what I'm working towards. Jake also asked me, what do you take for granted? All these heavy questions, Jake. I try not to take anything for granted. I think about stuff a lot. I think about everything that I have and why I have it. Sometimes I take Erin for granted. I try not to. But she does do a lot of work and a lot of things for me that I definitely appreciate. But sometimes I don't always put in as much work, and I'm trying to get better at that. But I know there are a lot of people who just think, oh, you know, look at my great life, I deserve all this. You know, I don't necessarily feel that way. I try to do the best I can, and I know what we have and why we have it, and I just try to be the best person I can be all the time. Finally, to wrap this up, Jake hits me with a really heavy one. Is a hot dog a sandwich? Defend your view. Well, Merriam-Webster defines sandwich as 2 or more slices of bread or a split roll having a filling in between. A hot dog is meat inside a split roll, so yes, it is a sandwich. Plus, the original intention of the sandwich was so that a guy could eat meat, but he didn't want to have to touch it with his hands, so he's like, oh, put it in bread, then I can hold the bread and eat the meat. And that is basically what a hot dog is. You could maybe say it's like a subgroup of sandwich, but yeah, it is one. Alright, so that is all the questions that were sent to me. Thank you all very much for sending me those questions. I've made many more YouTube friends this year, but none of them sent me any questions, so that is the end of this 100 subs special, and I would like to thank you for watching. I'd like to thank everybody who sent me those questions, and I would like to thank everyone who has subscribed, or liked, or commented, or watched any of my videos or streams. I notice every single one, and they all mean a lot to me. I make videos on this channel because it's fun for me, but it wouldn't mean very much just putting videos out into a void and having no one see them, you know? So when people watch my stuff or like it, that makes everything worth doing. Anyway, you guys are the best. I don't know when we'll have another milestone. Could be years. But in the meantime, check out some of my videos, watch some of my streams. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you next time.